All right, everybody. So the Board of Trustees thought it'd be a fun little exercise if we had a little bit of church trivia, which I know everybody's on the edge of their seat for. So let's get right to it here. And feel free to shout out the response here in the sanctuary. And if you're online, I think we're also taking answers on there. So the first question here. So how much does it cost the church each year for electric service? Any ideas? Take a guess, anybody? 57, 67. Okay, anybody else? All right, Debbie? It's actually 11,600. So this is one of our larger line items, especially when it comes to utilities. How much does it cost the church each year for cleaning and trash removal? 62. All right, let's see the answer. It's 9,370. How about internet, phone, and software? I heard 49. I think that's the right answer. Yes, 4,900. And then finally, how much does it cost the church each year for insurance? 72. Yep, it's 72. So as you can see, there's we got a lot of expenses here, right? And so much like the houses that we own and we rent, our church, this beautiful building on the screen here, this is our church home. And it's a responsibility for all of us to take care of our church home. This year's been tough. Go to the next slide. Obviously, we were projecting a shortfall of 11,600 this year in the budgeting process, and that's before any of us knew what COVID would do to the life of this church this year. So obviously, we were already in a struggling position, right? But we've been able to manage, through the graciousness of the members of this church, and then also, the folks who are operating the church. We've been able to manage expenses, right? So if we go to the next slide. Like any of our houses that we own, right? The church has a list of expenses, right? And so it's going to be really hard to see that on the screen here. But this is just a breakdown of our budget at a line item level, right? And so you can see here, going from top to bottom, there's a lot of things that go into the daily operation of this church. And so, how can we keep our house in the best shape possible? Well, the first thing is we can continue to be cheerful givers. This year's been tough for a lot of folks, right? It's been a lot of uncertainty for all of us, but this church has still stepped up, and we've had just gracious contributions from our members that have kept this church going, right? So continue to be cheerful givers. If you haven't pledged in the past, new pledges are always welcome, and it helps the trustees help plan next year's budget, right? Prayerfully consider increasing your pledge if you're able to do so. Consider giving online. So we've got new options this year, right? So you can give in a lot of different ways. You can set up automatic giving online. You can give through the website. We've got text to give, right? We'll go into some of those options here, but giving online is a great option. And then finally, consider a gift, a qualifying charitable qualifying charitable distribution from your IRA. If you don't know what this is, Ben Skinner, who's a member of the Board of Trustees and also a financial planner, he'll be happy to walk you through how you can set that up, and that's a great way to give to the church. So finally, how can you give? Right. So we have a lot of different options. You can sign up for bill pay with your bank. It's fairly easy to do. That's a great way to contribute. We mentioned giving online on the website. You can give through our church website. You can text, very convenient option. And then finally, you can always mail your check to the church. So there's a lot of ways to contribute and to fulfill your pledge. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Witnessing Steward presentation.
Hi, WCUCC. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Kevin.
And we've been asked to talk to you today about why we give to the church. Which turns out to be a little bit more difficult than it sounds. But we were inspired somewhat by some books that Kevin was reading this summer about communications and leadership. And one of them is called
Start with Why.
And so we decided that was a good place to start. So, why do we give? What is our why? And another great place to start is always the Bible. And we decided to think about what some of our favorite stories or verses in the Bible were. And it turned out that they tell us a lot about our why. So, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the story of the Samaritan woman at the well. She comes to the well to get water and has a conversation with Jesus there. And in the story, Jesus says, "Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. The water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." So, one part of our why is that Jesus gives to us and we need to give.
My Bible verse is a nice little short one that many of you might have read before. It's out of 1 Corinthians that says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." And when we first came to WCUCC, these many years ago, we were just impressed with the message of love and inclusion within the church. And it just hit us so profoundly. And to this day, WCUCC continues to push forward to include all and love all. And that is, it just hits us right to our core. And it just compels us to want to give to the church to push that message forward to the next level, whatever that looks like. We just can't help ourselves.
So it turns out our why is pretty simple. Jesus gives so much to us that we feel like giving back and spreading the love. We hope you'll give too.
Exactly.